Hey everyone, today is Monday, September 19th. The time is 2:40 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 26 degrees Celsius. And I am here at the Garrison Crossing, which is just to the west of downtown Toronto. And that is my Varla Pegasus City Commute e-scooter. And now that I've had the scooter for nearly a month, and I've put well over 150 kilometers on it in various riding conditions, I thought it was the right time to make this video and share my thoughts on the scooter. Full disclosure, I am not in any way, shape, or form an expert on e-scooters. In fact, I've only ever owned two prior to this one. And Varla did send me this one in exchange for making a video, but I'm not obligated to say anything positive about it, so I'll be as honest as possible in this one. And first I'll give a short rundown on the scooter and its various features, and then we'll take it out for a ride. So I think I will head over along Fort York Boulevard and eventually make my way north up Spadina Avenue through Chinatown. Then maybe I'll head through the University of Toronto St. George campus, finishing up at a pretty steep hill in the city, which is Poplar Plains. So why the Varla? So I've kind of wanted something with a suspension for quite a while, and this one has a pretty beefy dual suspension. I also hate the idea of ever getting a flat tire, and this features these wide 8.5-inch solid tires, which will never go flat. Now there are some pros and cons of solid tires, which I'll be going over later in the video, but it seems as if this one has pretty much everything that I need. The e-scooter is currently selling for $11.99 on Varla's website, and that is USD, and I'll put a link to that down in the description. And it features dual 500-watt motors, one on each wheel, along with that glorious dual suspension. There's a 15.6 amp hour battery, and Varla advertises it as having a range of up to 45 kilometers. In real world use, I've gotten about 30 kilometers on it, and that was with, I think, 2 bars left on the battery meter. And for reference, I weigh about 170 pounds. And I think I'll be doing a full range test on this in the future, and you can probably find that over on my second channel at Johnny Stumbles. And it has just started raining. I won't let that keep me from it. So up here in the cockpit, it's sporting these excellent grips, as well as front and rear brake levers. They included this bell in the box, which I opted to mount on the left side. You've also got your power assist, so we're currently in power assist 1, that's 24 kilometers per hour, 2 is 32, and 3 will go up to 40 kilometers per hour, which I almost never use. And there's what the bell sounds like, and there's your power button, and the thumb throttle is on the right, and it's rather comfortable. And the handlebars allowed me to mount the phone mount from my Segway 9bot Max, which is pretty neat as it fits perfectly. Also, this display is easily one of the better ones I've ever seen. It is perfectly visible in bright sunlight, and it works really well at night too, so that's an advantage. And there's the odometer showing 151 kilometers, and you get a trip counter as well, and you can toggle that between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. And you'll notice the battery meter is full, and I rode this from Midtown down here, and I think that ride was about 12 kilometers or so, so that hasn't even taken a notch off the energy bar yet. And as for the brakes, it features dual ventilated disc brakes, which I have found work exceptionally well, much better than the brake on my Segway 9bot Max. I think the braking distance is less than 3 seconds from a speed of 24 kilometers per hour. As for portability, it's somewhere between your typical commuting e-scooter like the 9bot and the larger off-road dual suspension scooters. At 66 pounds, it's a bit heavy to be lugging around for more than a few short bursts at a time, but at least it folds up nicely. As for the deck, it's quite excellent. It's rather large, and you'll notice it's angled at the back, which is where often I find myself putting my rear foot. And just before we get rolling here, I just wanted to mention the headlight, which you'll notice is located below the front handlebar stem, which is a bit unfortunate. As you'll see when I turn the handlebars, the headlight doesn't turn with them. It stays aim pointing straight. The headlight is decently bright when riding at night, but I think if you're going to be doing a lot of night riding, you'll probably want to mount another headlight up on the handlebars. Also, here's a look at the front latch and locking mechanism. And at the back it hooks into this ring, which is at the back of the deck. And it is time for the main event. Let's take this thing out for a spin. So I'm going to ride south through the Garrison Crossing here. And this is going to head over a couple of rail corridors that merge together just to the east of here. And I'll talk a bit more about the scooter along the way. Perhaps I'll remember some of the things I forgot about in the first few minutes of this video. One thing that's worth mentioning is definitely the steering. So I'll talk about that in a moment. It's also fairly capable off-road in a pinch. Suspension keeps things nice and smooth. You'll notice it does rattle around a bit more. It is rather quiet on paved surfaces. And I think there's some gravel I can head over just down here. There it is. Varla does make an e-scooter, I think it's called the Eagle 1, or just the Eagle, that's much better suited to off-roading, but traction is good on the gravel. The rear wheel kind of fishtailed out a bit there, but it seems relatively competent. Let's get back on a paved surface here. I've currently got it in power level 1, which is interesting because it says PAS, which is pedal assist. So I'm guessing they borrowed this front display from an e-bike because there is no pedaling on an e-scooter. I'm gonna head through the Garrison Crossing here. So this is, or rather, the Bentway. This is not the Garrison Crossing anymore, but this is traveling east, and I'll be passing through the Fort York neighborhood. So like I said, I've only had 2 other e-scooters before, so I don't have much to compare it to. There's a bike lane on the other side of the street here. But a combination of the slightly smaller and wider wheels and heavier steering makes for quite a different ride handling experience. Varla says they've put in a steering damper in the steering column, so at first it feels a bit stiffer than what I'm used to, but I've grown to really like it, and I actually prefer how this handles. The 9-bot feels a bit more nimble, but it also feels a lot more, or I guess a lot less stable. Just the way you turn and lean into turns is a lot different. You can at times feel the wide tires get up on their edge, which can be a bit uncomfortable, but you get used to it, especially if you lean heavily into a turn. So I'm going to head east here through the City Place neighborhood, and we get that great view of the CN Tower off in the distance. So this ride should give a pretty good look at what city riding is like, which is what I'm doing probably 90% of the time on these things. According to the trip meter, I've gone 1.3 kilometers so far. And this is Dan Lucky Way. So I'm going to make my way north, probably all the way up Spadina, maybe to College. And then I'll head over to St. George and we'll take that north. One thing I do appreciate over the Segway is having 2 brake levers. It just gives you more confidence, as well as more options. One hand might be working the bell when you find yourself needing to brake, so it's nice having front and rear brakes and 2 brake levers. And I've moved it up to Power Assist 2, so the max speed now should be 32 kilometers per hour. I really almost never put it up to 40, unless I'm going up a really steep hill or that sort of thing. And that's another area where this thing really separates itself from my Segway non-bot max. All right. Left here. With these nice wide tires comes added stability, and I can actually hand signal my turns, something I can't really do on the 9-bot. So this is north up Spadina. So I mentioned the range is pretty good. I'm going to put that to the full test in a future video. I'll probably run it all the way down to 0. There are no bike lanes on Spadina. We just have these sharrows to deal with. There's a big pothole. And I've taken a few of those at speed on this thing, and the suspension does a really good job soaking up big bumps. So overall, if it's smoother than my Segway, I think that's a bit of a mixed bag. The wheels being a bit smaller in diameter and being solid makes them less forgiving. So I would say at slow speeds, no, you tend to feel a lot more vibrations in your feet, thanks to the solid tires. But once you get moving, I would say over 15 to 20 kilometers per hour, that script flips. And this thing is a lot smoother than my Segway. I think that's when the suspension kicks in. It's a bit firm at slower speeds, but you can feel it doing more when you're flying over streetcar tracks and that sort of thing. Seems to be a lot of construction vehicles in this area today. So this is heading north up the west side of downtown. That is a major north-south route that, sadly, as you've noticed and I pointed out, doesn't have a bike lane. You tell them, screechy streetcar. There are countless streetcar diversions going on in the city right now, and it's only going to get worse when the Ontario line really starts to affect the street grid with all the construction that will be taking place. So this is Queen Street West coming up. That took a little bit of extra caution. And now it's heading north up into Chinatown. I'm currently going 30 kilometers per hour. So at the north end of Chinatown, I'll make a right on College, and then I'll make a left and I'll head up St. George. This is Dundas and Spadina. Pretty much ground zero as far as Chinatown is concerned. There's a lot of bad rider etiquette in the city, particularly since the onset of the pandemic. These delivery guys seem to play by their own rules. I bet he's going to go right through this red light here. Let's see, there's a couple of people slowly crossing. Yep. Oh. Jumping onto the sidewalk, nice move. When it comes to riding in downtown, I prefer the e-scooter to one of my e-bikes. If I'm heading out of the city and I'm riding on stroads with faster moving traffic, I prefer the e-bikes. They also have a bit better range. Whoa, whoa. Here's some classic Toronto road action for you. Just sailed over a few potholes. So when I overtook that guy, I did increase my speed level up to 4, or up to the 3rd level. I don't think I hit 40 kilometers per hour, but that is one time when I will use that from time to time when I am passing someone, particularly if they were a bit of a dingus like that guy. Oh, I thought I was going to turn right at College here, but it is closed off. I think between College and University, College is closed. They're replacing the streetcar tracks. And it looks like the bike lanes aren't even accessible. I think I can still make my way over to St. George Street. What? Is this another road that's closed and I can't turn right? Let's try it. That is Huron Street. So St. George Street cuts through the heart of the University of Toronto's St. George campus. Oh, look at this. I have been out in the rain on this thing before and it handled quite well. I think the solid tires held up a little bit better than I thought they would have. All right, this could be a tough left turn here. Here's where being on a scooter can be an advantage. I can always just cross as a pedestrian coming up. But I make a point when the roads are wet not to take the e-scooters out. I don't know the exact water resistance rating for this thing, but you could find that on the website. What a stupid idea this was. I had it in my head that I wanted to go north up St. George Street. But there is just an endless wave of vehicle and pedestrian traffic coming up this way. All right, I'm gonna follow this guy's lead here. There we go. And a red light. Hopefully that guy behind me doesn't try to run it. Yep. And I'm probably going to have to pass him again. So this thing can start from a stop on just the throttle. That's a little different from my other scooters. The first one is the Tech Trendy ES Commute scooter. That's a little kick scooter with solid tires. And I upgraded to the Segway 9 Max, which offered a bit more range. And by a bit more, I think about double the range. And then Varla reached out to me, or actually I was looking for a dual suspension scooter. And a lot of them were very heavy and looked like they would be annoying to get on and off my apartment elevator. So I was looking for a smaller one, and I reached out to Varla, and I expressed interest in this scooter, and they offered to send me one in exchange for making a video. So here we are. I've done a live stream with it, and I've used it to record one regular video. And I've probably taken it out a dozen other times. I'm still in the habit of giving myself a little push rather than just relying on the throttle when I get moving. No problem. Occasionally when you brake hard, you will feel the rear wheel slide out a bit in a fishtail motion. So this is Bloor Street here, and this street has bike lanes, but I'm going to continue up to DuPont. And as I mentioned, I'm going to head up a rather steep hill one that I once conquered on my single stream, or single speed, in a video a few years ago on this channel. I think about 3 years ago, actually. If you're in cycling shape, it's not a big deal, but if you're not, even with gears and a light bike, it can be a bit of a challenge. There's St. George subway station on the right. Oh, you're right away. Cheers. I've noticed when I'm on my e-scooters or e-bike, cars and pedestrians are often a bit hesitant, even when they have the right of way, and I think they're just so used to people blowing through stop signs and red lights. I admit, I don't come to a complete stop at stop signs. If it's not necessary, I tend to just yield. I'm a firm believer in the Idaho stop, but I certainly always yield to right of way. And there were a few instances of pedestrians that weren't quite trusting that I was going to come to a complete stop a few minutes ago on this ride. So I am now north out of downtown. And my battery meter is now at half. So while the range is pretty good, I think it tends to be a bit disingenuous at the start. It holds on to all its bars a little bit longer. As I've done 6 kilometers on this ride, plus 12 on my previous one, that's about 18 kilometers. And then I did maybe a kilometer or so as well, just recording some B-roll for this video. So having half a battery meter sounds about right. Just that it dropped rather quickly. All right, I want to make a left here. but sometimes it's better just to cross with the pedestrians up front. Let's see. It is light enough to easily pop it on and off curbs and that sort of thing. Technically, you are supposed to walk across crosswalks. Or I guess zebra crossings to be more correct. There's the look south towards Yorkville. So I'm going to head north and we're going to tackle Poplar Plains in the Rathnelly neighborhood. I think there's a cyclist performing the same maneuver. And going up hills and accelerating are two areas where having dual motors versus the single motor really makes a difference. And I forgot to mention, you can just put this thing into single motor, but I don't really see the point in that. I doubt you'll really be saving much range because you're making one motor do all the work of pulling the 66-pound scooter along. All right, and so I am obviously in dual motor mode, and it will say speed max on the display when you're in dual motors. And again, I've got it on the middle power assist, and we're going 30 kilometers up the hill, no problem. And killing momentum there isn't going to be good for the battery. Here's the steepest part of the climb. And this is where my e-bikes struggle to get back up to 32 kilometers per hour. My 9-bot certainly wouldn't. I'd be way back there. I'd be lucky to get to 20 kilometers per hour on this hill, but this thing, without batting an eyelash, hits 32 and effortlessly flies up this hill. And deals with the incredibly bumpy surface of the bike lane back there. Okay, just for this last little bit, I'll put it up to 40. The coast looks clear ahead. Although the speed limit is 30 on this street, so I'm a bit conflicted about doing that. All right, I'm in Power Assist 3 right now. And we're already at 30. And we are at St. Clair Avenue. And here's the First Unitarian Congregational Church, I think it's called. Either way, it looks like a fine place to bring this one to a close. Let's see what the final numbers are. 7.4 kilometers ridden? Not writing anything. I guess I should mention the kickstand on this thing isn't the greatest. It is small and a bit finicky. It can be a bit tricky to grab with your foot. It also leans it over quite a bit. We're putting quite a lot of faith into that thing. So I guess that's a negative. The question is, would I buy it? Honestly, I think I would. I've been finding myself using it more and more instead of my e-bikes or the Segway when I just go out for non-recording activities. There you can see 7.78 kilometers. So Strava says 7.78. The display says 7.4, and apparently my average speed was 15 kilometers per hour. So if you're interested, there is a link to this down in the description. And you can find out just by staying tuned to future videos if I prefer this or my other one based on which I use. I think for live streaming, I'm definitely going to use this. It has the range, and I definitely like the added smoothness of the suspension, as I don't use a gimbal when I live stream, so that's definitely an advantage. But there we go, the Varla Pegasus City Commute Scooter. There are links, or I guess a singular link, to this and Varla's other scooters in the description. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and let me know what you think of the scooter. And if you wish to support my channel, there's a link to Patreon membership and channel membership in the description, as well as a super thanks button. And I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and I also have a second channel, Johnny Stumbles, where I'll be doing a video on this as well in the near future. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one.